الله النور بسم الله النور بسم الله نور النور بسم الله النور.
Throughout history, if you look really closely at the lives of great leaders or, reformers and guides, you start to notice this recurring and honestly almost inescapable tragedy.
Yeah, it's a very heavy pattern.
Right. Because no matter how pure their intentions were or how profound their wisdom was, nearly every single one of them had to live under the suffocating shadow of a tyrant's oath.
Absolutely.
To survive, or just to protect their followers from, total annihilation, they were forced to navigate these incredibly treacherous, bloody waters of corrupt empires.
Which is, frankly, an impossible situation for anyone.
It really is. And that often meant shaking hands with despots or offering some form of outward allegiance or just compromising their political reality just to keep their communities alive. I mean, it's like a historical chain tied around the neck of justice itself.
That's a great way to put it.
But, and this is where we're going today, what if there was a mechanism designed specifically to break that chain? What if there was a strategy to preserve one final leader in a state of absolute, uncompromising political purity?
Well, it fundamentally reframes how we look at history because, that forced compromise, that inability to operate with absolute, unchecked political purity, that happens because the surrounding environment is simply too toxic.
Right.
If you step out into a toxic atmosphere without a suit, you either die or you adapt to the toxicity. There's no third option.
Exactly. And today, we are diving into a really profound theological framework that centers on one figure who is uniquely preserved from this cycle.
Yeah.
And that is Imam Mahdi Ajalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif.
Yes.
According to the foundational sources we're exploring today, he's the only proof of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who will reappear with a neck completely free from any allegiance to any despot.
No compromises whatsoever.
None. No forced treaties, no tyrant's oath.
It is the concept of unadulterated, absolute political purity. And honestly, grasping this changes everything about how we understand the concept of his absence or occultation.
And that is our exact mission for this deep dive. We are exploring the strategic necessity of this occultation to ensure ultimate global justice.
It's a massive topic.
Huge. And to do this, we are unpacking a monumental 1,000-year-old masterpiece, Sheikh el-Tusi's Kitab al-Ghaybah, or the Book of Occultation.
And an incredibly important text.
But really quick, before we get completely immersed in the profound depths of this text, a quick but crucial note for you listening. We want to invite you to subscribe to the YouTube channel, Light of Shia Islam.
Definitely go check them out.
Yeah, because the main principle and the defining characteristic of the Light of Shia Islam channel is ultimate clarity and absolute transparency about its sources.
Which is so rare these days.
It really is. Every single resource, every specific citation, every tradition and hadith we discuss in this deep dive is available right now in the description part of the YouTube video and in the pinned comment.
Yeah, you have to read it for yourself.
Exactly. You can and you absolutely should go read these texts. The light of knowledge is right there for the taking.
And, reading Kitab al-Ghaybah is a very visceral experience when you understand the context of the man who actually wrote it.
Oh, the history behind it is wild.
Right. Because Sheikh al-Tusi wasn't just sitting in some comfortable, detached ivory tower theorizing about theology. He wrote this text in the 5th century AH, which, just for context, places us roughly in the 11th century on the Gregorian calendar.
Right.
And he did it under unimaginable, literal, life-threatening pressure.
Yeah, I was reading up on the history of this specific period, and it is honestly staggering. Because he's in Baghdad, which at the time is this thriving, cosmopolitan intellectual center of the world.
It was the hub of everything.
Yeah. He holds the chair of theology. He is the supreme point of reference for the Shia world. But then the political climate just shifts drastically with the arrival of the Seljuk Turks.
Precisely. The whole environment just became this massive powder keg of sectarian tension. And it wasn't just, abstract political tension in the courts. It became violently physical.
People were in danger.
Absolutely. Sectarian mobs actively attacked his specific neighborhood in Kark. And the most devastating blow, his massive library in Baghdad, which contained tens of thousands of irreplaceable books, rare manuscripts, and basically the collective intellectual heritage of generations.
Oh, man.
It was completely burned to the ground.
I mean, just imagine that. His entire life's work is reduced to literal ashes.
ashes.
He's a target. His life is in severe, immediate danger. So he has to flee the capital.
Right. So he migrates to Najaf. Now today, Najaf is a massive, bustling metropolis of Islamic scholarship.
Yeah, it's huge now.
But back then, in the 5th century AH, it was essentially a small, quiet village near the sanctuary of Imam Ali alayhi salam.
Right.
It was purely a place of refuge. So just picture this for a second. Sheikh Al-Tusi is living in the devastating aftermath of having his life's work, his library, burned.
Yeah.
He was in exile. He has been forced to flee from the public eye due to severe oppression and literal threats to his life.
Unbelievable pressure.
And it is in that specific psychological and physical state that he sits down to write Kitab al-Ghaybah.
Yeah. See, that context completely changes how you read this text.
Yeah.
It isn't just dry scholasticism.
Not at all.
It is a masterclass on hope, written by a man who has lost everything to sectarian fire.
Yeah.
I mean, he is meticulously defending the theological concept of a hidden imam, while he himself has been forced into hiding by corrupt rulers.
Yeah, the irony there is powerful.
It really grounds the entire theological argument in massive real-world stakes.
It does, and it leads directly to the central argument he makes about why this absence isn't an abandonment.
Right.
Sheikh Al-Tusi introduces what we can call the divine shield. Let's connect this back to your opening thought about the tyrant's oath.
Okay, let's unpack this.
So suppose Imam Mahdi Allahu Ta'ala Farajahu Ashrif were physically manifest and publicly known in society, but the society itself was hostile.
Like, they're not ready for him.
Exactly. He does not have the safety nor the critical mass of empowered followers necessary to rise up and actually establish this ultimate justice safely. So what is the inevitable outcome of that?
Well, historically speaking, based on what happened to the previous guides, he would either be assassinated,
Right.
or to survive and protect the blood of his followers, he would be forced into taqiyya.
Dissimulation, yeah.
Right, he'd have to conceal his true intentions and practically pledge allegiance to the corrupt Abbasid caliphs or whatever despots were in power at the time, just as his predecessors were forced to do under immense duress.
Exactly. But here's the key difference. His specific divinely ordained mission is fundamentally different from his predecessors.
How so?
His mission is the ultimate final revolution. It is the establishment of absolute, uncompromising global justice.
Okay, I see. And you simply cannot lead an uncompromising revolution against global corruption if you've been forced to shake hands with the architects of that corruption just to stay alive. The integrity of the revolution is compromised from day one.
Therefore, the occultation is the divine mechanism, it's the shield, that preserves the absolute purity of that final revolution.
Right.
By being hidden, he avoids the oath entirely. He remains the unyielding proof of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
I really want to dig into the philosophical pushback Sheikh Al-Tusi faced here, because his opponents at the time raised a very logical objection.
Oh, they definitely did.
They argued, like, look, an imam who is in occultation is essentially a bad thing. It's an evil, because he isn't actively enforcing laws, he isn't guiding the public visibly, he isn't stopping wars or dispensing justice in the courts.
Right, it's a very practical objection.
Exactly. They were asking, how can God allow this delay in justice?
And on the surface, it's a compelling argument. If the guide is hidden, hasn't the guidance failed?
Yeah, that's the obvious question.
But Sheikh Al-Tusi counters this brilliantly using rigorous scholastic reasoning. He argues that the failure, the quote-unquote evil of the situation, does not lie with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The failure lies entirely with human agency. It is the oppressors who threatened his life, and the general public who failed to provide the necessary safety, readiness, and empowerment for him to exist openly.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit more, because Tusi uses a very grounded analogy in the text that makes this dynamic click perfectly.
I know exactly which one you mean.
Yeah, the master and servant one. He compares the situation to a master and a servant. The master tells his servant, listen, if you come to me, I will give you the money to go buy meat from the market. Now, if the servant simply sits there, refuses to walk over and approach the master, and therefore never gets the money and never buys the meat, whose fault is the lack of meat?
Well, it certainly isn't the master's fault.
Right.
The master laid out the condition and provided the means.
The failure to buy the meat is entirely the servant's fault.
Yeah.
And applied to this theology, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided the guide. But humanity has essentially failed to walk over and approach the master.
Yeah.
We, collectively, as humanity, have failed to cultivate the societal safety, the spiritual readiness, and the physical empowerment necessary for the Imam's open presence.
Exactly.
The grace is available, but humanity's hostile actions have necessitated the shield of occultation. Essentially, we caused the hiding.
And Sheikh al-Tusi goes to really great lengths to demonstrate that this concept of divine concealment isn't some unprecedented, strange anomaly in religious history.
It's happened before.
Many times. He lists powerful historical precedents right from the Quran to prove that divine concealment has always been a recognized strategic tool for preserving the truth when human hostility reaches a boiling point.
Yeah, I was looking at the historical precedents he lays out, and the one that really struck me was Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam.
Oh, that's a brilliant example.
Because his concealment wasn't just, hiding in a cave, he was hiding in plain sight. How does that specific type of concealment compare to what we are discussing here?
It is a profound parallel. Think about Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. He was completely hidden from his own father, who, remember, was a prophet himself, Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam.
Right.
And he was hidden from his brothers for years. He was living in Egypt, operating within the socio-political dynamics of the time, walking among the people, and yet his true identity and his divine authority were completely concealed from those who didn't have the eyes to see it.
Wow.
He was present, but unrecognized.
Which is very different from, say, Prophet Musa alayhi salam.
Yes, Prophet Musa alayhi salam represents a different type of necessary absence.
Right, because he actually left.
Exactly. When his life was threatened by the state apparatus of Pharaoh, he didn't just stand there and allow himself to be killed. He fled Egypt. He disappeared into Midian for years. He was physically removed from the oppressive society until he was commanded to return with authority.
And then you have the extreme physical isolation of Prophet Yunus alayhi salam.
Yes, Prophet Yunus alayhi salam was hidden entirely from the world in the belly of the whale.
Just total isolation.
Yeah. Imagine the sensory deprivation, the total removal from human society. And, of course, Tusi also points to the extraordinary story of the people of the cave, Ashab al-Kaf.
Right, the sleepers.
Yeah, who slept hidden in a cave for 300 years to preserve their faith from a tyrannical ruler. Society shifted around them, empires rose and fell, while they remained in divine preservation.
That's incredible.
In all these cases, the absence wasn't abandonment. It was a highly strategic preservation of truth.
But functionally, right, if I am listening to this and I accept that he is hidden like a shield for his own protection and to preserve his political purity, the next logical question for anyone is, how does this help me navigate daily life?
Naturally.
What is the tangible benefit of a guide who is completely hidden? Like, going back to the analogy, if the master is locked in a room, how do the servants run the house?
That is the ultimate paradox of occultation, and it's a question the sources address with some incredibly esoteric and beautiful details.
Okay, tell me.
Let's look at a specific mention in the text tradition 4a3 from Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salam. He describes a place called Baitul Hamd, which translates to the house of praise.
Yeah, this tradition honestly blew my mind when I read it.
It's stunning.
It states that in this hidden house, there's a lamp that has been burning since the exact day of his birth, and it will not go out until the day he rises with the sword.
The symbolism and the reality woven together here are just breathtaking.
It really is.
The continuous, unbroken burning of the lamp represents a continuous, unbroken presence. It signifies that the light of guidance, the spiritual reality and consciousness of the Imam has never been extinguished for a single second.
No matter what's happening outside.
Exactly, regardless of how dark or chaotic the geopolitical world outside that house becomes.
And here's my question. How does the light from that hidden lamp actually reach us? If it's in a closed house, I'm still technically in the dark, right?
What's fascinating here is the primary metaphor used to explain the mechanics of this. It actually comes from an epistle, a direct letter, issued by Imam Mahdi Ajala Allahu Ta'ala Farajahu Asharif himself.
Okay.
He states that the way people benefit from him during his occultation is exactly like how people benefit from the sun when it is concealed by thick clouds.
Okay, let's unpack the astrophysics of that metaphor, because it's much deeper than just saying, it's daytime even when it's cloudy.
Exactly. Think about the physical sun on a completely overcast day. You cannot see the physical orb. It is hidden,
Right.
but its diffused light still penetrates the clouds and illuminates the Earth, preventing total pitch-black darkness. Life can still grow.
Yeah.
But more importantly than light, it is the sun's gravitational pull that keeps the entire planetary system in orbit.
Right. If the sun were to simply vanish, not just be hidden behind a cloud, but cease to exist entirely, the Earth wouldn't just go dark.
It would be catastrophic.
The loss of mass would mean the loss of gravity. The Earth would freeze instantly, fly out of its orbit, and cave into itself in the cold vacuum of space.
And according to this theology, the spiritual effulgence of the Imam is the gravitational center of human existence.
Wow.
He is the living proof of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on earth. His continuous existence sustains the spiritual and physical reality of the world.
So he's the anchor.
He holds the spiritual orbit together. Without that presence, the earth would quite literally collapse under the weight of its own corruption. It would disconnect from the divine entirely.
I hear that, and I really appreciate the cosmic scale of the metaphor. But I have to push back here for a second.
Go for it.
Because gravity keeps me from floating into space, yes. But gravity doesn't teach me right from wrong.
That's a fair point.
If I am walking around and I can't see the sun, I still need to know how to act, what the laws are, how to navigate complex moral dilemmas in the modern era. So how does a hidden gravitational center provide actionable daily guidance?
It's a vital question, and Sheikh Al-Tusi addresses it head-on. The fact that the sun is behind the clouds doesn't mean you are left with no tools to navigate the terrain.
Oh.
The truth is still fully accessible to those who seek it.
But how?
Through the rigorous preservation of the clear traditions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Imams alayhim salam.
Oh, I see. So the idea is that the previous guides didn't just leave a vacuum when they passed, they left a comprehensive curriculum.
Precisely. The blueprint has been left. The laws of ethics, jurisprudence, and theology are known and meticulously preserved by the scholars.
Right.
The Imam's absence doesn't suddenly invalidate the massive body of guidance already established.
That makes sense.
Furthermore, the text suggests that while the Imam is hidden from the general public, he might actually appear to specific individuals when absolutely necessary to course-correct the community, resolve an impossible deadlock, or provide specific, targeted guidance.
Wait, really? Meaning he isn't just a passive battery powering the universe from afar.
Not at all.
He is actively watching. He's actively present, even if he walks among us completely unrecognized, much like Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam in Egypt.
Exactly. He is witnessing the state of the world firsthand.
Which brings us to a really tough, painful reality in this discussion.
Yeah.
Because he is the hidden sun. And if he is actively watching the world endure such immense pain, warfare, and corruption, why hasn't the cloud parted yet? Why this agonizing delay?
This is where the theology moves from the abstract to the deeply personal and frankly painful reality of human existence.
Yeah.
The delay is not accidental. It is the highly specific, grueling process of purification.
The sifting.
Yes. The text cites Tradition 287 from Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salam, which explicitly explains that the very length of the occultation is fundamentally designed to test humanity.
The imagery used in Tradition 287 is so evocative.
Yeah.
I mean, it says believers will be sieved like grain is sieved to separate it from chaff.
It's a powerful visual.
And it emphasizes that this won't just happen once. It will happen over and over again until absolutely no impurity remains.
We really need to think about the physical mechanics of sifting and threshing grain to understand this.
Right.
It is a violent process. It requires intense agitation. You have to beat the harvest, and then you shake the sieve violently to make the heavier, purer grain fall through, while the useless, lightweight chaff is blown away by the wind.
And the text doesn't sugarcoat how hard this shaking is on the human soul either.
No, it doesn't.
There is Tradition 465 from Imam Jafar as-Sadiq alayhi salam. He describes what it actually feels like to hold on to your faith during this incredibly long period of occultation.
This one is brutal.
It really is. He compares it to rubbing hands on a thorny branch.
Just sit with the visceral pain of that image for a moment.
Yeah.
Gripping a branch covered in sharp thorns and pulling your bare hand down it. That is the psychological, emotional, and spiritual toll of maintaining unwavering faith in an unseen reality while the visible world screams that you are wrong.
Right, or mocks you.
Or physically persecutes you for your beliefs.
I look at it like an extreme vetting process for an elite mission.
Oh, interesting. Like what?
Think about astronaut training. You don't just put anyone in a rocket heading for the moon. You put candidates into a centrifuge, and you spin them at terrifying speeds to simulate intense G-force.
Right.
And the point isn't to torture the candidates. The point is that only those who can survive the intense G-force of doubt, confusion, societal pressure, and despair without passing out or giving up, only those make it to the final Vanguard.
That is a brilliant analogy.
The centrifuge reveals who actually has the constitution for the mission.
Because the reappearance of Imam Mahdi Allahu Ta'ala Farajahu Asharif is not just a magical, peaceful event where everyone suddenly holds hands and agrees to be nice.
No, not at all.
It is the execution of absolute, uncompromising global justice. And you simply cannot execute uncompromising justice with an army that is corruptible, weak, or prone to making backroom deals.
Which perfectly explains the highly specific numbers mentioned in the text regarding his vanguard.
Yes, exactly. The traditions specify that the reappearance requires a vanguard of exactly 313 absolutely pure, tested, unshakable companions to gather from across the earth.
Just 313.
Yes, they will unite miraculously. This vanguard is the tip of the spear.
Right.
Without this fully purified, fully sifted army, without these 313 individuals who've survived the centrifuge you mentioned, the mechanics of the final revolution cannot begin.
Wow.
The delay is simply the time it takes for humanity across generations to produce and refine those 313 individuals.
But that raises a heartbreaking question.
What's that?
What about the millions of people who live and die during this centrifuge period? The people who hold the thorny branch, who endure the bleeding, but who pass away before the clouds ever part?
Yeah.
Are they just collateral damage in this cosmic waiting game?
This is actually one of the most beautiful aspects of the text. It assigns immense, almost incomprehensible spiritual reward to this specific era of waiting. It is not a lost generation. Tradition 474 states explicitly that anyone who believes in the occultation and the reappearance but dies before the advent actually happens is considered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as having died fighting right alongside Imam Mahdi Allahu Ta'ala Farajahu Asharif.
Oh, well.
Yes.
So their patience, their internal endurance of the sifting is counted as active battlefield heroism.
Exactly.
Simply maintaining your faith in the dark is mathematically equated to fighting with a sword in the light.
The internal struggle against doubt and corruption is recognized as the ultimate battle.
Okay, so let's play this out. Let's say the sifting is finally complete.
Right.
The 313 are ready. The clouds part. What exactly are they fighting to build?
The future kingdom.
Right, because if you tear down the corrupt world, what replaces it? The text doesn't just offer an abstract promise of world peace, right?
No, not at all. It gives astonishing physical infrastructural blueprints for the post-reappearance world.
Which is so cool. It outlines a total global restructuring.
It's not just a spiritual metaphor. It is a physical, architectural, and economic revolution.
Let's talk about the infrastructural marvels, because they are honestly fascinating to me.
They are very specific.
Yeah. Traditions 484 and 485 outline some massive civic engineering projects. The text states that Imam Mahdi Allahu Ta'ala Farajahu Asharif will build a mosque on the outskirts of Kufa with 1,000 doors.
Now, 1,000 doors implies a structure of unimaginable scale.
Huge.
It's an architectural manifestation of universal access, designed to accommodate a globally united population converging on a single center of justice.
And the engineering projects get even more detailed. He will order a massive river to be dug, starting from the rear of the tomb of Imam Hussein alayhi salam in Karbala, and it will flow all the way to Najaf. And the text specifically mentions bridges being built over this new river and working mills operating along its banks.
Let's unpack the profound symbolism and the economic reality of that. Why Karbala to Najaf?
Yeah, why those two?
It physically connects the resting place of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, who is the ultimate symbol of sacrifice against tyranny, to the resting place of Imam Ali alayhi salam, the symbol of divine justice and governance.
Oh, that's beautiful.
But practically, notice the focus on the working mills and the river. Water is life, agriculture, power. The mills represent industry and sustenance.
Right.
It's pointing to a totally new economic reality. It depicts a post-scarcity society where resource hoarding, which drives so much of human conflict, warfare, and oppression today, is completely eradicated.
It is an era of unprecedented global abundance.
Ah.
But the text goes even further.
It does.
The physical world itself, like the laws of nature, seem to shift.
Yes. This is where it gets really mind-bending.
According to Tradition 498, The Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will command the heavens to reduce their rotation.
Yes, the tradition states that a single day will equal 10 of our current days.
I mean, let's think about the psychological impact of that. Time itself slows down.
The rush is gone.
Exactly. The frantic, rushed anxiety of the modern capitalistic world, this constant race against the clock we all live in, is replaced by an expansive, elongated experience of time.
There is time to breathe, to reflect, to live.
And it says the earth will be illuminated directly by the Imam's divine effulgence. The text actually notes that this light will make the physical sun itself feel redundant.
It is the ultimate realization of the house of praise metaphor we discussed earlier.
Oh, right.
The lamp that was hidden in the house for over a millennium now illuminates the entire globe.
But this utopia isn't just about glowing lights and big rivers, right?
Yeah.
Creating this society requires a harsh, uncompromising purging of the old world.
Absolutely. The text is very clear that this kingdom will tolerate absolutely zero corruption or encroachment on public rights.
Yeah, the physical restructuring of the cities actually reflects the moral restructuring of the people.
Exactly. The traditions note that narrow, oppressive streets will be forcibly widened. Balconies or structures that illegally jut out into public paths, stealing space from the community for private gain, will be demolished entirely.
Wow.
It is a complete reclamation of the public good. No one is allowed to hoard space or resources at the expense of another.
And even the holiest sites on earth aren't exempt from this purification.
Yeah, they are central to it.
The text says the Kaaba in Mecca and the Prophet's mosque in Medina will be restored to their original uncorrupted foundations.
Right.
It will strip away centuries of unauthorized architectural additions and modifications made by various arrogant empires who try to stamp their legacy on the holy sites.
It is the ultimate reset button, a return to absolute foundational purity, both architecturally and spiritually.
Okay, so we have the glorious end state. We understand the agonizing necessity of the sifting.
Mm-hmm.
But how does this sequence actually trigger what finally breaks the occultation?
Yeah.
Because the sources provide a highly specific, almost cinematic moment for this.
They do. It's incredibly vivid. According to tradition 459 from Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salam, the exact moment the occultation ends occurs in Mecca.
Okay.
Imam Mahdi Allahu Ta'ala Farajahu ar-Sharif will stand between the Ruk and the Maqam.
Just for our listeners who might not know the exact geography, the Rukn refers to the corner of the Kaaba containing the black stone, and the Maqam is the station of Ibrahim, located just steps away.
Right.
So he is standing in the most sacred, highly visible focal point of the Islamic world. And this happens on a very specific day, right? The day of Ashura, specifically falling on a Saturday.
Yes. And at that moment, standing in that sacred space, it is not a human who makes the first announcement to the world.
Who is it?
The archangel Jibreel will appear before him and announce with a voice heard across the globe that allegiance is now solely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Chills.
The time of human kings and corrupt presidents is definitively over.
If we synthesize everything Sheikh al-Tusi has laid out for us in Kitab al-Ghaybah, this immense delay, this 1,000-plus-year waiting period, it's essentially a divine quarantine.
A divine quarantine is a perfect way to conceptualize it.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is waiting. He's allowing humanity to exhaust itself.
Yes.
The world has to become so entirely fraught with human-made injustice, so exhausted by its own corrupt systems of governance that it practically caves into itself.
Right.
We have to try every ecotism imaginable, capitalism, communism, fascism, every political theory, every economic system, and watch them all ultimately fail to provide true, lasting, uncorrupted justice.
Only when all human-engineered systems have been completely exhausted and proven to be hollow will the absolute, uncompromising justice of the final avenger be universally recognized and desperately accepted as the only logical conclusion left for human survival.
Humanity has to realize it cannot save itself.
Exactly.
Now, it is important to look at how Sheikh al-Tusi frames his historical argument here to fully understand the necessity of this quarantine.
Yes, the historical context is key.
He sets up a strict contrast between different eras of Islamic governance to highlight the unique nature of the promised justice.
Right, and to grasp the text's central thesis, we must observe how it categorizes historical governance. The source explicitly asserts that the eras governed by historical figures like Abu Bakr, Umar, and Uthman represent periods characterized by fear, doubt, and systemic injustice.
Yeah, and Sheikh al-Tusi explicitly points to these specific eras, strictly contrasting them against the promised future era of Imam Mahdi Ajala Allah Ta'ala Farajahu Asharif.
Yes.
The text defines the Imam's future era as the only period of true security, pure faith, and absolute justice.
Correct. The author uses this historical critique to argue a fundamental theological point. True, uncorrupted justice has never yet been fully realized on earth since the departure of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ.
That makes sense.
This historical void of absolute justice makes the eventual rise of the hidden Imam a strict theological necessity to fulfill the divine promise.
So bringing all of this immense theology, history, and eschatology back down to you, the listener.
Right, let's bring it home.
We've covered the ashes of Sheikh al-Tusi's library, the unyielding proof shielded from the tyrant's oath, the astrophysics of the hidden sun, the brutal centrifuge of the sifting, and the breathtaking architecture of the future kingdom.
It's a lot to process.
It is, but I want to leave you with a deeply personal question. When that call from Jibreel comes from the sky, when the quarantine ends and the truth is laid bare, how will you respond based on the actual current state of your heart today?
That is the only question that truly matters.
Yeah.
Because if we connect this all back to the immediate present, we know from the text that the sifting process isn't just an apocalyptic event waiting in the future.
No, it's not.
It is happening right now. It is happening invisibly, every single day.
The centrifuge is spinning as we speak.
Exactly. Every ethical dilemma you face at work, every doubt that creeps into your mind late at night, every hardship and injustice you endure in the modern world, that is the friction of the sieve. The text explicitly tells us that the delay is designed to separate the grain from the chaff. So the ultimate challenge for you to mull over as you go about your week is this.
Okay.
As the great, slow shaping of the world happens around you, are you doing the hard, internal, unglamorous work to ensure you remain as the pure, heavy wheat?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you allowing the friction, the exhaustion, and the daily compromises of the modern world to break your spirit and turn you into the lightweight chaff that simply blows away with the next cultural wind?
Are you maintaining your grip on that thorny branch? Or have you let the pain cause you to let go?
It's a tough question to answer, honestly.
It is a profound, heavy, and beautiful thought to carry with you. We want to remind you once again that every tradition, every stunning detail, and every historical nuance we discuss today can be found directly in the sources.
Go read them.
Yes, we highly encourage you to go to the YouTube channel Light of Shia Islam, subscribe, and check the description and pinned comments for the absolute transparency of these citations, including traditions 483, 287, 465, 484, 485, 498, and 459 from Kitab al-Ghaybah.
The proof is all out there.
Dig into the light of knowledge yourself. Don't just take our word for it. Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and keep your grip on the branch.
O God, bless Muhammad and his household. Clothe me in your well-being. Wrap me in your well-being. Fortify me through your well-being. Honor me with your well-being. Free me from need through your well-being. Donate to me your well-being. Bestow upon me your well-being. Spread out for me your well-being. Set your well-being right for me, and separate me not from your well-being in this world and the next. O God, bless Muhammad and his household, and make me well with a well-being sufficient, healing, sublime, growing, a well-being that will give birth to well-being in my body, a well-being in this world and the next. Oblige me through health, security, and safety in my religion and body, insight in my heart, penetration in my affairs, dread of you, fear of you, strength for the obedience which you hast commanded for me, and avoidance of the disobedience which you hast prohibited for me. O God, oblige me through the Hajj, the Umrah, and visiting the graves of your messenger. Your blessings, mercy, and benedictions upon him and upon his household, and the household of your messenger. Upon them be peace, for as long as you causest me to live, in this year of mine, and in every year, and make that accepted, thanked, and mentioned before you, and stored away with you. Make my tongue utter your praise, your thanksgiving, your remembrance, and your excellent laudation, and expand my heart toward the right goals of your religion. Give me and my progeny refuge from the accursed Satan, the evil of venomous vermin, threatening pests, swarming crowds, and evil eyes, the evil of every rebel Satan, the evil of every refractory sovereign, the evil of everyone living in ease and served, the evil of everyone weak or strong, the evil of everyone born high or low, the evil of everyone small or great, the evil of everyone near or far, the evil of everyone, jinn or man, who declares war on your messenger and his household, and the evil of every crawling creature that you has taken by the forelock. Surely you art on a straight path. O God, bless Muhammad and his household, and if someone desires ill for me, turn him away from me, drive away from me his deception, avert from me his evil, send his trickery back to his own throat, and place before him a barricade, so that you mayest blind his eyes toward me, deafen his ears toward my mention, lock his heart toward recalling me, silence his tongue against me, restrain his head, abase his exaltation, break his arrogance, abase his neck, disjoint his pride, and make me secure from all his injury, his evil, his slander, his backbiting, his fault-finding, his envy, his enmity, his snares, his traps, his foot soldiers, and his cavalry. Surely you art mighty powerful.